Right, here I am again with Matt Jackson from the Grays and Chub Carp Academy. Now we're going to talk about another memorable session that you've had, because obviously you've caught quite a few decent fish over the last few years, and this one's at a different lake to the one we spoke about last time, and it's a fish called, is it Sean's Fish?
Sean's Fish, this one, yeah. Yeah, it's from the Roach pit down in Ringwood, and it was the first year that I actually had a car that I could drive.
Right,
I'd just passed my driving test, so I was quite keen, and I hadn't caught a 40-pounder until that point. I knew the lake had a few fish in there that could do it.
Yeah,
there's quite a good stock in there, yeah. I mean, at that point though, the fish were a lot smaller. There weren't quite so many big fish as there are now. They were more sort of low 40s, but they still had some good ones in there. So I really wanted to catch one, and I hadn't caught one through the summer or the autumn, so I decided I'd fish the winter on there. I mean,
really?
It has had winter form in the past, but not for a good few years now.
It's fair to say it's not a high stock water, is it?
No, it's not a high stock, and it's not an easy water anyway. And it's quite deep, weedy, it's not your classic winter water, and it was a really terrible winter anyway. It was cold, I mean, iced over a few times, but you know, I just passed my driving test, so I thought I'd fish through anyway. I was dead keen. And I fished the whole winter for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not tents, not a liner.
Yeah,
I think,
a few times.
yeah, didn't even see a carp show. So
you managed to keep your motivation up?
Yeah, I kept the motivation. I did it with a good friend of mine. We both sort of plugged through, had a bit of a social, and sort of enjoyed it, yeah. You know, it was good fun. I only just passed my driving test, so I was buzzing to just be out, drive back and forth. I was happy to be fishing. So, whole winter for nothing, and then the fish finally woke up. It was like a switch had gone.
Really?
Like literally, yeah. I think it was at the end of February, because the lake retains a traditional close season. So at that point we all had to be off at March the 14th. So by then we had about 2 weeks left before the lake was shut.
Really?
And the fish, with the change of weather, it slightly started warming up. The fish just started showing, and they were moving. I'd been focusing on an area of deep water where other winter captures had come from many years ago. Obviously nothing had happened, but that was the area they travelled to when they woke up.
Yeah.
We sat one morning and watched them showing from one half of the lake. They came down through the channel, and then they ended up settling right in front of the swim that I'd been fishing.
Really? So the lake's what, 25 acres?
It's 25 acres,
so
yeah.
How far away were they when they started showing?
When they started showing, they were literally halfway up the lake.
Really?
I think they'd come from the shallow end through the channel down to the deeper end. So I think the whole time we'd been fishing for them at the deeper end, they weren't even there. They must have started off up the other end and they'd come through.
Yeah, of course.
You know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we're sat there, we've watched them come through. Fortunately, they settled in front of my swim.
Nice.
So I thought, this is excellent, you know, kit straight in the swim. I've set up, I know the marks, there's been bait on them. And I think where it was so cold, most of the bait that I'd been putting out had probably just been sat there anyway. The birds had been eating a little bit. There was already a reasonable amount of bait there. Just topped the spots up, and literally the next morning I had a take.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a 25-pound linear, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
So it was a great stunning fish. Yeah, really, really nice looking fish. And you know, after all those blanks, it was nice to just get one, you know, under the belt. I was happy. That was, to be honest, that was my season made.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd have caught nothing else after that, I'd have been happy. But anyway, I've got the rod back out, and it's gone off again. I've picked the rod up, leant into it, halfway in, and the hook pulled. Certainly don't want that to be happening on a venue like that. I mean, I can't tell what it was. It was just a fish at long range. It's dropped off. Got the rod redone, sort of not worried about it too much. And then maybe an hour later, it was sort of a manic spell, and the rod's gone again.
Really?
This time, I've managed to get it all the way in to the net. I've netted it. I've looked down, and there's a whacking great long carp in there. At the time, I didn't know what it was.
Right, okay.
Through the winter, I'd sort of joked to a mate as well, and said how I'm going to go off and catch Sean's fish over 40 pounds,
so
sort of in
was your
jest.
Target then, was it?
Well, I'll say it was a target. I was just joking about catching it. There's no way of really singling out individual fish in a situation like that. It's just a case of fishing for bites and seeing what comes along. But in jest, I had said I'm going to catch it over 40 pound, and that fish hadn't even done 40 pound at that time.
Oh, right,
it had come out at, I think, 39 ounces in the autumn, sort of a year or so before, so we thought it might do it, but no, it hadn't done 40 pound before, so it was a bit of a joke. And then when I pulled it out onto the mat, my mates looked at me and gone, that's Sean's fish.
Really?
And it hadn't even dawned on me by then. I was just so buzzing to catch this. I thought it was an upper 30 pounder, mid 30 pounder. I was just sort of blown away by it all. So I put it on the mat, I hadn't even realised, and he's gone, mate, that's Sean's fish.
Nice.
And we flipped it over and I've seen the scaly side of it. That is Sean's fish, and it looks massive. So we popped it up on the scales, and lo and behold, it's gone £42.12.
Really?
It was absolutely
Top
unbelievable.
weight as well,
yeah, top weight. I mean, it's never done £40 before, so I've got it at that, and it was my first UK 40. So
fantastic.
absolutely on cloud nine.
And all
yeah.
in winter as well, you know, you've done the hard graft in winter where, you know, it's fair to say a lot of people would have, you know, fallen by the wayside a little bit after all those blanks, but you stuck with it and everything come together in the end.
Yeah, no, it certainly did.
Fantastic result,
Yeah.
mate. Thanks for sharing that with us.